the chat on here, but whatever. New We Gotta Believe is live. The New York Mets are a motherfucking wagon, and the 96ers are feeling great. I am out here in Chi-Town. Kev's down in Nashville right now.
Yeah, baby. All week. We got KFC Radio live all week from Nashville, plus our live show on Thursday night. So we got the boys back home. What are you in Chicago for, the dozen?
Dozen, Team ZD. We are in the Chicago tournament right now, about to beat some bitches up.
I'm going to say, talk about a wagon. Talk about a fucking wagon. Team ZD, a force to be reckoned with.
With a mystery partner, too.
Ooh, mystery. Like our lineup because we have COVID.
Exactly. Yeah, our partner is in St. Bart's right now, so a little different.
Oh, yeah. Judging by some of the scenery coming out of that trip, I don't think he's going to be at the dozen tournament. I think he's a little preoccupied.
He's going to be very happy. We got Kyle and Phil back in NY holding it down, as are the New York Mets. We are a little late right now. This is the YouTube's going live around 12 o'clock Eastern time, noon. And the reason why is because my flight got delayed 2 hours. I was freaking out. I said, I got the podcast. I got a dog walk draft after this too, followed by the dozen. Lots of reason to freak out. Then I came in the office, popped open a nice cold Coors Light. It's the beer that's made to chilled out, Blue Mountains, down the throat, feeling great, feeling wonderful. And that's why Coors Light is the one I choose when I need to unwind, because it is the beer that is made to chill. It is the 2022 New York Mets of alcoholic beverages. And that's why when I need to go to the refrigerator to get the beer that's made to chill, I go to Coors Light. You can get them delivered straight to your house on Drizzy or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. I'm going to get some delivered to the boys here. They have another beer in house, but you know what? We're going to get some Coors Light because the New York Mets are the best team in baseball. Carl's feeling himself about the Cubbies right now too. So it's going to be very interesting to see how everything shakes out. But boys, we are happy. Home opener on Friday. We did the YouTube exclusive. We haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, on the audio. And then, bullpen loss on Saturday.
No, that doesn't count either. We're 10-0. As of right now, I'm not counting our losses as real. 10-0 in my mind. I'm not even counting that one. Because that bullpen is so bad, it's almost like this shouldn't even be in the major leagues. So if you lose to the Diamondbacks, that's a fake loss. It's just – we're 10-0. We're 10-0.
I mean, I'd rather be losing these games close and winning them by a lot than the other way around, where we're just like nail biting every win and just getting our asses kicked every other day. So we have the best run differential in the National League, I think, or close to it last I checked.
Is always the biggest thing to me. We can talk about all the advanced stats and all the analytics. Like at the end of the day, how many runs are you scoring? Yeah. How many runs are you allowing? And almost without fail, like we saw it last year, when we were 4 games up, but our run differential was trash, and the Braves were, in like 4th place or whatever, but the run differential was good. Mm-hmm. The baseball season is long enough that almost always evens itself out. So if you're going to look at one thing, look at that. And right now the Mets are fucking mashing and holding people to 0 fucking runs.
I'm choosing to completely overlook the fact that the entire Diamondbacks lineup is hitting like 125.
Bro, I want to extend my condolences to all 17 or 18 Diamondback fans out there. Is that going to be the worst lineup of all time? Isn't that kind of a serious question? Like
it very well could be. It's
assembled, right?
Yeah.
The Orioles have been trash, but they always have that one guy where you're like, okay, well at least they have him. Like that team is trash.
I'm not like the sports fanatic I used to be as a younger guy, where I used to know like every player on every team. But I keep up enough. I was like, I don't know a single fucking player. I mean, neither did Gary, Keith, and Ron on Jackie Robinson's day. You're talking about a team of fucking nobodies. Mm-hmm. They're going to lose 130. They're going to be the worst team of all time. That's why I choose to not even accept that one loss, because I guess the one thing they do kind of have is a semi-decent bullpen. So, but yeah, like I hate when people say that too, like, oh, you were playing the Diamondbacks. Like, well, we beat the shit out of the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, we won our series. It's all that matters. I just want to do some Mike Francesa type radio and talk about our rotation. The amount of runs given up by Met starters in each game this year. I'm going to read out the number: 0, 3, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. That's the amount of runs we're giving up every game from our starters.
The fact that that's a rotation that doesn't have Jacob DeGrom in it is insanity. And I will be honest, maybe it's because the Diamondbacks are that bad, but I was kind of waiting for like the second time through, or all right, like, the Magic's going to wear off a little bit. Peterson's going to get knocked around a little bit.
David Peterson hasn't given up a run this year. Like
he's lights out.
Yeah.
I'm like, are these guys, maybe it was just the perfect start where it's like the perfect opponent, the perfect setup, the perfect teams, matchups, whatever. But whatever the reason is, maybe they're just this good. Maybe it was just all falling into place. But starting out this way is giving me, and I hope them, a fuck ton of confidence.
Yep.
When Max Scherzer is the one guy where you're like,
I mean,
Mulligata has given up more than one run so far.
It's crazy.
And it was on an Apple TV game, so it doesn't even count.
Yeah, You know what? The Apple TV runs against don't count either. The win counts.
Nothing counts except the good stuff. The good stuff all counts.
Like you just even look around the Mets, the Mets Twitter sphere, and it's you have your people who complain still, but slowly but surely, like they're just getting drowned out, and we are getting to a feverish pitch here. Other than again Frank the Tank on opening day, which we'll recap opening day quickly. Kevin and I got to go. Uncle Stu Feiner, got us tickets with the Tank and his lovely wife Sandy, and on an absolute honey of a day, just an absolute beatdown. A beatdown of a lesser franchise, and the Seabass kicked some ass on the bump, and we're hitting bombs back to back, belly to belly, just absolutely destroying whatever fake. And again, no numbers on the back, Jackie Robinson number, no names, no clue who these guys are. An absolute delightful day. And Frank the Tank's complaining about James McCann going 0-for-4.
It's just like sometimes you just cannot win. I'm done. I'm done with trying to win over. If you're complaining about the bullpen, fine. Like that is a legitimate complaint. If you're complaining about anything else, legitimately anything else, you're just nitpicking and trying to find things wrong. Because right now this team is absolutely fucking rolling.
Yeah, free fact check from the weekend. Frank was wrong. Like he was off again on Sunday, and it's like, yeah, we had a slow start. Like maybe it was a little bit of a hangover from opening day. Still the next day. 2 days away, but still, it's like there's enough guys in this lineup where we could be dead for 5 innings straight, and then you get that offensive onslaught where it's just like 3 or 4 guys get on base, and next thing you know, we're up 5-0.
That's the point. You got to think, like, I know as fans, it's frustrating to watch 5-6 straight innings of no runs, but if you put yourself in the mind of a hitter and a baseball team, they're like, all right, first time up, I'm getting a look at this pitcher. Second time up, I'm making adjustments. By the third time, as a good hitter, we're going to put some runs on the board. So it's just about being a little bit patient, waiting for it to come through. In the past, we knew that our lineup was ass, and there was really no reason to think those runs were coming. Now you can kind of you can rest assured that late inning runs are going to be a thing that you're going to come by. So like, just chill, crack a Coors Light and just chill, because professional hitters don't continually, roll over and die. Professional hitters, if you hit a home run once every 13 at bats, you're not going to go into a huge drought. You're going to get your home, these things just sort of happen over the course of a baseball game. So like, just fucking relax, because again, it's PTSD. Mm-hmm. It feels like you're watching, when you watch 6 innings of no runs, you feel like you're watching Eric Mayberry and fucking Eric Campbell and John Mayberry, and you're not. It's now you're watching real baseball players. So enjoy it.
WFAN this morning was music to my ears. Every Yankee caller calling in saying, our lineup's built incorrectly. Look at the Mets. Look what the Mets are able to do. And I was like, oh, buddy, they're only 10 games in.
Dude, and I will be the first to say, let me just say it, because I'm going to be a huge dick rider now. When I said there's a chance guys like Mark Canha are going to be garbage, and I was nervous about the lineup. Like, I am always so happy to be proven wrong by the Mets. And in this case, this lineup has done that in so many ways, where it's like, now all of a sudden I feel like I'm watching Tommy Mansky. I'm like, this is like textbook baseball from a team. Let's face it, even in our good years, it was always feast or famine. It was always home run or strike out. And now, we're actually like a real team. It's awesome to watch.
We're tied for the National League lead in runs scored. We're like right there with the Dodgers, which is unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, if you look at that lineup, it feels unbelievable until you realize that it's like baseball is a dumb sport. And sometimes constructing like the right lineup is better than just constructing the bomb squad all-star lineup. So you can go I think that team can go toe-to-toe with anybody when they're fully healthy.
Just score runs. That's the name of the game.
And it's, again, the Church of Coentology. It just all comes back to there. Like whenever everything was going wrong with the Mets, it would always just come back to the Wilpons, and we just wax whatever the opposite of poetic is. But now we can actually just sing the praises of Steve Cohen. Like we had the vlog up. Shout out Pav. That vlog was awesome. Just recapping opening day. The Seaver statue is out. It's fucking enormous. It is huge. And did you guys see the Evan Roberts video of Uncle Stevie when he was like, "I'd just like to thank the the Wilpons and the Cat family for getting this emotion," and everyone started booing, and he had this little smirk at the end after they were all booing.
I didn't see that. Oh, that's amazing.
So that was a sign of the times. We wore the Riley Reid shirts. The Riley Reid shirts were an absolute smash hit, and I'm not like, again, we could have kept these things had the 128, called it a day. The amount of people, like I'm talking fans, I'm talking people passing by, I'm talking when the chicks are giving the double look at the shirt, it's like, oh, you girls know what's going on.
You know Riley. You know Riley, girl. Yeah.
I love that. The dude at the concession stand who's like, dude, I love that shirt. Like just
everybody. And here's the thing. I know myself. I said that I was like a 15-year-old girl sneaking out of my house. I was at my mom's house in the morning, and I put on a regular shirt and then left the house and then changed into the Riley Reid shirt because I don't want my mom to see me wearing a porn star shirt, even though I'm a 37-year-old grown man. So I know that there's a little bit of, it's a sleazy, it's a smut shirt. But when you're at the ballpark, it's kind of like all's fair in love, war, and baseball. And the amount of comments people were getting, and like it's sort of like from a distance. If you know, right? And if you don't know, it's not like her tits are out or something. So from a distance, it's kind of like, wait, what is that shirt about? That looks like a woman having sex. And to the people who know, it's like, yo, that shirt, that's what's up. So we had to put it on sale. The rule is as long as the Mets are in first place, which right now they're sitting comfortably. So the Riley Reid Buck shirts will be on sale. What we did, though, is on the back is the Stools and Stars logo. On the original 128, it's orange. If you buy it now, it's blue. So only the 128 will have the OG shirt, which, let's face it, Clem, when we're at the parade serving cake and punch and you see an orange orange Buck shirt, you're going to be like, you're a real one. Those are going to be collector's items from a World Series season. And so to the 128, you guys are the realest ones out there. But I don't want to fuck up the juju by being like, all of a sudden we took them off sale and we started to lose. So you can still get your Buck shirts. Oh, and also polar bear shirts. The T-shirts have been restocked. We just put on sale a hoodie as well, a tan hoodie. These are the polar opposite of the Buck shirt. This is as classy as it gets. This is legitimate artwork that we had one of our designers draw up. The polar bear, old school baseball look.
It's like the polo bear. It's kind of like the Ralph Lauren polo bear. Same exact. I got one of those at home. It's the classiest thing I own. Whenever I'm going somewhere nice, I throw that on. And we have the polar bear with the little bit of the Francisco Lindor Coming to America jacket vibes.
Yep. And let's face it, Pete Alonso is hitting 50 home runs. It's coming, boys. Over 37.5, was it, or 38.5? Either way, we are blowing past that. So get your polar bear T-shirts and hoodies available now, along with the Buck. We are rolling out the merch. See, this is the best thing about doing a Mets podcast. It's like when times are good, you're happy as a fan, you're happy as a businessman, as a host, as a co-host. It's just like exponentially better when you do this for a living. It's so good right now.
And like you said, with Pete hitting those home runs, I feel like the way the lineup is constructed, those first two to even you want to throw Lindor, three guys, they just plant the seeds, they water the plant, it's growing, it's nice, and then Pete comes and he fucks the plant.
He just fucks the plant.
Plant. And that he's the one who makes me believe as well, because he's hitting fuck bombs in the goddamn wind. Like, God bless anyone who went to those games the last couple of days with the wind. It was Easter was the fakest warm day ever in New York. It was such a fake warm day.
Dude, opening day was the perfect conditions. If I had tickets, I honestly might have not gone to opening day if it was as cold as it was the other night. I mean, that was brutal baseball. Pete hit that jack, I think the only way you could hit a home run. It was like 112 miles an hour off the bat and just like a screaming liner that cuts through the wind. Anything that was in the air was getting knocked down, but leave it to the fuck bomb king to like find a way to bash it out. He is he is like Paul Bunyan, dude. He is a man.
It's going to be very hard to not become the knucklehead WFAN caller if Pete keeps mashing at DH and then just becomes like, mortal when he's at first. And he did have a game where he went off first base. If his defense is at least all right, I can kind of like quell it down. But if he isn't even like very good at first and then he's mad every time his DH, Pete, gonna have to play and that's a Buck job. That's not my job, luckily. I just get to be a fan crying on his couch. But I mean, other than that, everything's coming up good. The Lindorks are throwing up. They're sick to their stomachs. They're crying in their beers. It's unbelievable what happens when just let the guys settle into a new city that is known for its crazy fans and absolutely think about every single person their first 3 months in New York. How did they do?
Yeah, exactly. The city eats you alive. You're having a new baby. The game is tough. A million things change in New York, and that's why it sounds corny and people kind of like to make fun of it, but it's just different here. And it takes a little, it's a little bit, and I don't know if this is true or not, because at this point, some of these beat reporters, have an agenda and are worried about their own clicks and whatnot. But I was watching some of the Jamokes on SNY, and they were talking about some of the conversations that Buck and Lindor have had. And I don't know if there's how much truth is to it, but they were saying that Buck has been like a huge influence on Lindor, getting him over his shit with the fans and, rehashing all the thumbs down stuff and playing in New York. And, Buck is a guy who's managed. He's managed and he's been in New York. He's been in the media. He's done it all and can speak to baseball from like every different angle. And so if Buck really did have a lot to do with getting Lindor comfortable and loose, like give him manager of the year fucking right now. On top of some of the X's and O's shit. I was listening on the radio the other day on the way to the airport. When J.D. Davis swiped second, I saw a lot of tweets being like, that was all Buck. That was all Buck. Is that true? Was he doing something there?
There's absolutely no way it was J.D. Davis because that dude barely knows where second base is. I was like maybe giving it to the first base coach, but they said that Buck was already like, just go take second. Tell him to go take second.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Joey Greenlight Cora and Wayne Kirby. Whoa. You guys hear that?
You had alien interference there.
Yeah, what the? I'm thinking Joey Greenlight Cora and Wayne Kirby are going to be characters this season in a good way, I hope. I'd rather have I kind of like having a wild card third base coach who just sends everybody. Wayne Kirby looks like a baseball man. And J.D. Davis, there's no way that's coming from his brain. If the Mets were a movie, J.D. Davis would be the Mimbo on the roster, like the pretty boy hit and gets all the girls, but has like an IQ of like 30. I love you, JD. You're my guy. I can say that about you. You're my capital G guy.
JD Davis. What's the D in your JD mean? Davis, like my name. It's like that's such a Mimbo fucking thing to do too. It's like JD Davis is more likely to try to than he is in baseball. That's absolutely incredible. But they did say that Buck in spring training was like reading them the rule book and giving them all the scenarios. You're Belichick at the time. They just like know every single little fucking rule and take advantage of it. And that play happens to us in the other version every single. And again, DeGrom being scratched before opening day, and then McGill gets lit up on opening day, or the COVID guys all get sick, and then the guys who replace him come up in the big spot down one and they strike out. Everything has flipped. I'm not going to say whether or not it was because of our opening day gala where we wiped away the bad juju or not, or it's the guy with the billions of dollars at the top of the org chart. But something has changed. You can feel it. You can, harvest it in your bones. However, we have to, speaking of bones, we'll go to the next pitch here. Jacob DeGrom. So Jake Arrieta came out on part of my take today, and he said, Jacob DeGrom is the best pitcher he's ever seen put on a fucking jersey. It's such a bittersweet thing to see or hear when you hear this stuff. Bryce Harper said that DeGrom's like the best he's ever faced. He's a video game character. And it's like, he's so awesome. He's also just not here right now. So these things I love hearing. And I'm like, when he comes back, it's going to be so sweet. But it's like, at the same point, all these guys saying this guy is so good, it's at like the expense of his own body. It's some true monkey's paw shit where Jacob DeGrom wished to become the best pitcher. And he didn't realize his body would just waste away as it happened.
I mean, I know better than anybody. Availability, testability is availability. Like that certainly counts when you're putting together your Cy Young votes and your Hall of Fame votes and your greatest of all time. You gotta take into account health and how many times you're on the field. But so agreed. That is a huge part of it, unfortunately. But in the debate about just like best pitcher, best talent, best stuff, best to ever do it when they are on the mound doing it, I just don't understand how you can say anybody is better than that. I mean, except maybe this kid in Japan who's fucking
20-year-old. It's insane.
Lights out, that kid. If he's coming to America, Uncle Steve better back up the Brinks truck. But other than that, he's throwing. There was another kid. Who does he pitch for? Fuck, I was listening.
You're thinking the one on the Reds, Hunter Greene?
Yes, Hunter Greene.
Yep.
Yeah, he had the most. He threw like.
He was throwing like 102, insane.
Yeah, he threw something like 38 pitches over 100 miles an hour, and they said the previous owner of that record was Jacob DeGrom at 33. So like he physically is the greatest to do it. He mentally is one of the best ever. His presence and the style of play and the type of superstar he is. Like, could you imagine? We always compare like the Babe Ruth era to today. We always say like Babe Ruth would be getting struck out by the Mets bullpen right now. Paul and Sholey Reed would be K-ing him. Could you imagine what Jacob DeGrom would do to the earlier eras of baseball?
He'd make them retire. Like literally make them just quit baseball and go back to their job as an electrician.
It would be some fucking Steve Nebraska shit. Like 27 strikeout, perfect game. I just don't see how. And let me ask you guys this. Clem, Gypsy, maybe have a little bit of experience with this. I've never rooted for anybody who was like the best ever. Patrick Ewing was a great. Mike Piazza. We've seen some superstars, but I'm almost like uncomfortable with the like. I can't even process the fact that like he's ours. Technically, like by many people's counts now, people who opinions matter, the best to ever do it is a New York Met. Is maybe the Seaver fans know what that feels like, and the 80s fans know with Doc and shit like that. But I've never felt that with any of my teams. And what kills the most is that he's injured because we're missing it. We don't actually get to watch it. But it also is weird because I don't have the level of confidence to match him. It's like every time he touches the mound, like put it this way, if it was Game 7 of the World Series and Jacob DeGrom was going out there, we should all be like, yo, we're winning the World Series. We're winning the World Series today. It's Jacob DeGrom. And I still think because I'm a Mets fan, I'm not used to the fact that like he is the best. And maybe that's because he's injured. Maybe that's because we've seen, we've gone through the World Series with him and we didn't walk away with one. But it still is almost hard for me to admit that arguably the best to ever do one of the most important things in sports, pitch a baseball, he belongs to us. That's crazy.
Well, it's like they always compare him to Pedro 99, and like last year was Bob Gibson. They literally lowered the mound for Bob Gibson. So if he's been pitching back then, the mound would be further back than it is today. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that, where you're changing the entire structure of the game around a pitcher, like that's what he's able to do when he's healthy. And that's the scariest part because it's like you don't want to miss it. That's like I love seeing him pitch day in and day out, but if we get robbed of like another 2 seasons of this because of injury, like it's always just going to be in the back of every baseball player's fan's mind that we missed out on something that was so unique to a game that's hundreds of years old, over 100 years old.
And the funny thing about him is, obviously last year he became like this otherworldly being that I've never seen in my life. His like huge monster Cy Young season was 2018. I mean, at that rate, that's 4 fucking years ago. 1.7 ERA. And remember that one dude in San Diego, the old crusty bum dinosaur writer who didn't vote him first place and he didn't get unanimous. He had a 1.7 ERA, and he couldn't get unanimous, which went to Max Scherzer, our current number 2 in the rotation, by the way, which is just fucking preposterous. But Jacob DeGrom is on another level. And when great, Jake Arrieta, I know I was scared of shit before I knew Daniel Murphy.
That year,
Ruth, I was terrified of him.
That season he had up until DeGrom was like the greatest thing I've ever witnessed. Because not only was it endless innings of scoreless streaks, like unbelievable stuff. but he's such a bad motherfucker that it was like when you heard him talk. I remember Big Cat telling a story, and I think it was like hush hush at the time. I don't know if it's out there now, but when the Cubs played I think the Pirates in the one game play.
Wild card, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like Cole versus Arrieta or whatever.
Yep.
It was a big matchup. The Pirates were still good. And he told it was one of those, like, he told his team, like, just get me one. Like, all I need is one. And like as soon as they scored, he was like, this game's over. And like just went out there and threw like a fucking shutout. I think it was like he was that dude. So for him to know what it's like to be on that level and for him to like tip the cap and say he's the best. I mean, what more do you what more, accolades and shit do you need other than, I mean, I know that the haters are just going to be like, well, until he's on the mound, it doesn't matter. But it actually made me rethink. The Mets have been good enough this first 10 games where I was saying earlier, I think we're still so far away from being a real contender that, is this the time you start thinking about trading Jake? Because we still are so many pieces away from a World Series. And now seeing how good that lineup is, it's like that lineup could go toe-to-toe with anybody. So, now's the time to maybe just start loading up, because if Jake does come back this year or even next year, the window is wide open again in my mind with the way that they've kind of overhauled this lineup pretty quickly. So now we just pray. Now we literally just pray to the baseball gods that something, somehow, some way works out for us.
Yep, just score runs and pray for Jake. That's it.
Yep.
No time ever has it been easier to make the playoffs. We just need him back for the run. We don't need him to win any games before.
I know, but you know what? I am planning this season with no Jacob DeGrom, and I advise everyone else to do that too. You start getting your hopes up for Jake now, because he'll probably come back for like a start and then feel tightness or something, and I'm just. You guys can do what you do, but I still have that pessimistic guy inside of me. I am planning this year with 0 Jacob DeGrom, and anything more than that is absolute like icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably the way the Mets have to operate too. Just operate as if you're not going to get Jake back, and if it is the bonus, that's what good organizations do. Play for the worst, then
at the trade deadline,
like
go get me a bat, a reliever, and a starter, because I don't want to hear any of this. Like, well, Jake's our
exactly. Exactly. Plan for the worst and do the best. That's it. That's what good teams do.
Yep.
And that kind of comes into like with speaking of good organizations, and I know it was like a controversial topic, but like Dave Roberts with the Dodgers, it's like, Clayton Kershaw throwing a perfect game or no hitter or whatever it could be would be awesome. Winning a World Series means a little more than that. So, sorry, Clayton, you're going to have to sit down. Same with Jake. Like, Jake, if we keep pulling up David Peterson's and Tyler McGill's, and they're going to keep having 1 ERAs, Cookie Carrasco is a .84 ERA. We're like, take it easy, Jake. You rest up and, try to figure out what part of the body you're going to not hurt next, preferably. And anytime I hear about who is the best fucking pitcher in New York, and you're listing Gerrit Cole or anyone else, even Max Scherzer, just point to guys like Jake Arrieta and Bryce Harper and say, those guys say he's the best pitcher fucking they've ever seen.
Ever.
I don't want to hear anything about New York, let alone the rest of baseball. When he's healthy,
Mr.
fucking the universe.
Mr. 4 minutes, Gerrit Cole, he's a good pitcher. He's a great pitcher. Like, I'm not going to sit here and take away Cole because of what DeGrom is. But like,
I am. He can't handle 4 minutes. Like, just be better.
Yeah, like let's put a fucking end to that argument, because it maybe held some weight, like when he was coming over from Houston and he was like, as Hubs called it, the world destroyer. But that guy shaved his beard and became a different dude, and that argument died that minute right then and there. So enough of that argument. That's been put to fucking bed. The next argument I feel like is Cookie Carrasco, the best
number 4 in baseball.
I mean,
Let's get the drum.
If put it this way, another thing that I'm not used to is all things going our way. So like I said, one of the main reasons I was hesitant with this team is I think that certain guys are going to regress. I think that certain guys are going to get injured. I think that when you need a guy to have a career year and he's going to have a middle of the road year, like that seems to always happen for the Mets. Everything else this year actually seems to be clicking. And if Cookie Carrasco is going to have clean first innings, then anything is possible.
It's over for the league if Cookie gives us perfect first innings.
He had a 1-2-3, as a matter of fact. Like, forget about no runs. I think he had his first ever 1-2-3. Yeah. And so, like, anything can happen. if Cookie is going to be, the Cookie of Cleveland when he was like a Cy Young contender, holy shit. That's something that I figured that ship has sailed. I think I even said it a couple episodes ago. Like, let's just put that to rest. Anything we get out of him is a bonus, but even he's looking sharp. So
yeah, I mean,
I kind of like you with DeGrom. I kind of been like, well, Cookie, Carlos Carrasco was just going to be a sunk cost, and if we were just going to wheel him out there and he'd get his tits lit, or he'd 4 innings, 4 earned or something like that, and was just fucking the bullpen, I was ready to live with it. Cookie is back. I am fully willing to acknowledge the Cookie name is back. He's earned it. 2 good starts in. Again, though, I do want to say this, and I feel like such an asshole saying it, but like we couldn't if you like I can't name it's like the diehard 5-gallon and 3-gallon water jugs. I couldn't name like more than 3 Diamondbacks hitters already. I know Connor Varsho or whatever has the most.
Dalton Varsho, Ketel Marte. Those are like they're good players. Yes, and Ketel Marte is a superstar.
So I am giving him the name Cookie back. The name Cookie is back. I am willing to acknowledge that. Before I can give him like the top of my Cookie scale, which I will reveal when the time is right, the number 1 on my Cookie scale, I will say that. But in terms of now, like Kev, where is he on your Cookie scale right now?
All right. I mean, are we doing a full draft here, or are we just going to do a cookie draft? Like, what Cookie is Cookie Carrasco, or are we doing an actual Cookie draft?
I mean, it's up to you. We could do a full-blown draft. I mean, I am Chicago, when in Rome, or we could just do where we see Cookie this week, kind of a Cookie scale of where he is. Last week, I did the generic nil, which I believe comes through as very pretty fucked up right now.
I was going to say, are you ready to apologize for the nil wafer comments?
Jeremy Hefner works magic too. I mean, he's the baker. Maybe it's the baker that's making him the cookie. I'm not really sure.
The baker. He's the baker. So in my mind, the best cookie I've ever had, my number 1 overall cookie draft pick, is in Carlo's Bakery in Hoboken. The cake boss guy who had the TV show for the cakes. There was his like original spot, or maybe his second spot, was on Washington in Hoboken, and it was a staple in my house when Caitlin was pregnant with Shay, and we were just eating everything in sight, both of us. I would go to Carlo's and I would get boxes, and they're like the big kinds, they're the thick ones. They are soft, they're mushy, fresh out of the oven, and one of the most fucked up things I've ever done, Clem, and I want you to weigh in on this behavior. I would get up there in line, because this is one of those places you take a number and there's a line out the door around the corner because it's a fucking TV show. And I would get up there and I would say, give me the whole rest of the cookie tray. I would buy them all. And then there would be people behind me being like, I waited fucking like 45 minutes for a cookie. And I was like, bro, pregnant woman at home. I'm fucking fat too. Like, I got one shot at these cookies. And I wasn't buying like 80 of them, but there would be like 10 left. And I'd be like, just give me all 10 because we're going to eat them all. And I feel like that's kind of a villain move, but that's how goddamn good these cookies were. And I would just walk out of there with a big box tied up with the red and white ribbon, the red and white string, you know what I'm talking about? And when you get cookies in a box like that with the tie, and I would just be like, I feel like people wanted to throw like tomatoes and lettuce at me and boo and hiss me. But I was just like, whatever, man. I got to get these cookies while I can, because there's been times where I've walked in and there's been none. So get them while you can. Mm-hmm. And the middle of those, Clem, I would eat the outside crust, if you will. They're not even really crust because they're all soft. But I would leave the middle to the end. And oh, my God. It's the number 1 cookie of all time. Mm-hmm. I won't even hear any other debates, Clem.
So, first of all, that is a legitimate scumbag move. That is one of the worst things I've ever heard. And honestly, like, I'm kind of pissed off for those other people. Like I'm just thinking, if I'm in those shoes and my fat ass is waiting 45 minutes in line and this prick takes 8, and listen, you say the pregnant wife at home, all right, that's like 3 cookies. I can live with you taking 3 cookies, right? And then 1 or 2 for yourself for your troubles. But it's kind of like with in Oregon Trail, when you hunt the buffalo. It's like, listen, you can only take 100 pounds back. You shoot 7 buffaloes there. We still need fucking to like have a species.
I was sitting there just boom, 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 just loading up on dead buffalo.
once I take down a buffalo or a bear, I stop using my bullets. It's not even to save the bullets, it's to save the fucking environment, to save nature. And like that's the same kind of thing. Like you do a good deed, that person does a good deed for someone else and passes it forward. You did the opposite.
You know what? No.
That guy probably like went home and like murdered somebody because
you know what? That's the world is a. Nobody else pays it forward. Everyone else is a scumbag. And if it was me and second in line, some other scumbag probably would have fucked me over. It's a dog eat dog world, man. It's a cookie eat cookie world. And
I literally did this on Saturday.
You did this on Saturday, Kyle?
How about this, Clem?
There's a bakery by me, Country Boy Bakery. It's the best rainbow cookies I've ever had. The jelly's so good. And I walked in on Saturday, and there's a huge line of people, and there's only like a little stack left. And I go, how much do you think that is? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I was like, just weigh the whole thing, and I took I and walked out.
Because Clem, all right, riddle me this, Clem. What if? No, Clem. I got a brain buster for you here, Mister Cookie. You're like some cookie angel up on his clouds, handing out life lessons to us sinners down on earth. What if I get up there and there's only 3 left? Am I supposed to only get 1?
No, you can get 3.
What's the cutoff?
Absurd. It's a fucking absurd amount of cookies to buy, no matter how good they are.
Wait, you're telling me you can't rip through 3 in a setting? No problem.
Yeah, I get 3 this time. I'll get 3 next time. It's like it's living a fucking society.
I waited 45 minutes. I waited 45 fucking minutes. In my mind, I get 1 cookie per 5 minutes of line time. So I get up there, I get 9 cookies. Fuck you, man.
So long story short, this is what you're saying in terms of Carlos Carrasco's first 2 starts against the Nationals and the Diamondbacks. You're putting him on par with this fucking cookie.
Well, no, so that's just to me like that would be
the gold standard.
That would be like if Cookie somehow wins the Cy Young. But these first 2 starts are, lights out. You can't pitch any better than that. It's sort of like figure skating where like I'm hesitant to give him a perfect 10 right now because I need room to grow. So I would then say do we want to draft or should I just give you my 5? Get out of here with that guinea shit. I hate those fucking cookies. Those are, to me, that's Cookie Carrasco when he's nil wafer, when he's communion wafer. I hate those fucking Italian.
I got to bring these to you. If you're a jelly guy, if you like jelly at all, you would love these.
Those look like they're going to be good. And as a little kid, you're like, oh my God, look at all those colors. And you take a bite and it just tastes like guinea. It's just like, tastes like cologne.
There's 2 kinds of rainbow cookies. There's a good kind and the bad kind. And I've had the bad kind before. I will willfully say that there are a chunk of rainbow cookies that are bad, but the good are great. And I'll take Kyle's word for it here.
Maybe I haven't had that. I got to have that to have it on my list. My second cookie would be Insomnia, which I know is kind of crazy from a chain cookie. But when those come right in the pizza box, all melty, and I'll take it a step further. Their chocolate chip is obviously, chocolate chip to me is the gold standard of cookie. Their sea salted caramel big cookie. It's one of like the $4 ones. That's my number 2 overall. That's where Cookie Carrasco is right now. He's not quite a Carlo Bakery chocolate chip, but he is a salted caramel Insomnia cookie.
Okay. My favorite thing is when people say, well, have you ever had salty and sweet before? It's like, yeah, motherfucker. I've known that's good for like 20 years. Yeah. People tell you, like, put them in the freezer. Yeah, no shit, asshole. We've been doing that since I was 5. I'm an old man now. I did not see that being – that's a high level. Yes. I'm going to put Cookie Carrasco as a Mrs. Fields cookie. When you go to the mall and you fucking have that and it's nice and melty too. It's nice and warm inside. It melts in your mouth. It's fantastic. It's also like, is it a product out at the mall? I'm hungry. Kind of like the Mrs. Fields, the smell of it. Is it a product of its environment as much as it's a fucking awesome cookie? I don't know. I'm not willing to give Carlos Carrasco the fucking Cy Young right now. So I'm going to be a little bit more of a prude other than fucking Mr. Buy the Whole Rack here. And I'm going to just say Mrs. Fields cookie. Meek, is he a fucking macadamia nut for you right now? What are we talking about?
Okay. Right now, he's those peanut butter chip cookies fresh out the oven that are like very soft. Like
I've never been a peanut butter cookie guy, which is weird because I love Reese's and I do love peanut butter. But something about it to me, I like my chocolate chip and my peanut butter kind of separated. But I do know that people love their peanut butter. So calling him a soft peanut butter cookie right now is high praise as well. The way I see it though, Clem, I'm not like, to me, I'm thinking of a draft. I have five picks. That's what we do on KFC Radio. Your top 5 picks, or like a Mount Rushmore of 4. In my mind, he's like a 4 out of 5 right now. He can't. He can't pitch much better than this, but I will give him a little bit more room. But if you're not giving him,
I think he's got more. I think he's got more. I would put him at like Famous Amos, like enough to get you by. It's a good enough cookie to go by, but it's not the one you're going to go out of your way to go get.
Are you talking in like the big tin?
The big yellow box.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Big yellow. Okay. See, to me, I can't. He's way better than a crunchy cookie to me right now. A crunchy cookie to me.
No, he's a very soft cookie right now. That's
a soft cookie. The crunchy cookie's on the lower half.
Warm.
But yeah, he's soft and gooey. You kind of want to fuck it as much as you want to eat it. That to me, he deserves at least a soft cookie status. I would also accept maybe I'll knock him down one more peg because I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much. I don't know if you guys had this, but in my school we had 60-cent chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
You guys have something similar to that?
They were more than 60 cents for me, but I know what you're talking about.
Back in my day, they were 60 cents, and they would come out on those racks where they would have the wax paper, and they would be, about that big, and they were 60 cents. And for the most part, they knocked it out of the park. Every now and then you would get a burnt one, and it would really ruin your fucking day. But I'd always make sure I had like 60 cents left over. Back in the day, I was legitimately, Clem, I know you'll probably know this. Remember like paying for shit in coins? That's crazy.
And not only that, but I don't know if this was a phenomenon just at my school, or I imagine it was across the board. How about kids that would just beg? They just wait for you to get your change outside, and then they'd be like, can I have a quarter? It's like, dude, I haven't said 3 words to you since we went to kindergarten together. It's fucking 8th grade. Are you a beggar?
I can't believe you just said this. I cannot believe you just said this. Let me tell you a tale. Gather around for story time. I was in 3rd or 4th grade, okay? I was a beggar. This was one day. I was a beggar because I had a quarter and a dime, and I needed like one more quarter or something. So I was standing outside. The way it kind of worked, we had a cafeteria, and then you went in one door, and there was like a lunch aisle, if you will, and you came out another door. So me and my buddy were just kind of hanging out. We did cause a lot of problems in the cafeteria. We did a lot of fucked up shit. But as we were like causing mischief and shit, we were just kind of hanging by the second door. And when somebody would come out, I'd be like, yo, just get 10 cents left over from, whatever you bought. Can I grab that? So we were begging. I'm not going to lie. Scumbag, dirtball move. All of a sudden, school lunch ends, go back to class. All of a sudden, I get called to the principal's office. And I'm like, I'm a good kid at this point. I hadn't done anything wrong, ever. I had never been in trouble. I'm in 3rd grade, goody two-shoes type shit. Get called into the principal's office with a couple of my other buddies who were doing the same. And Seth Geller, I'll drop the government name on your bitch ass, told the principal that we were bullying him and beating him up for his money. And so I walk in and I'm like, what is going on here? And they're kind of like, you're here for beating up this kid for his money. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, yeah. In the cafeteria, he told us that you intimidated him or whatever the fuck they said. When I legitimately was like, hey man, can I borrow a dime? And he told the fucking principal we were beating him up and shit. It was like Jesse Smollett. It was like he created a fucking hate crime. It was some bullshit, man. But I learned my lesson. I was never a dirtball beggar ever again.
Did you ever have the kids that would be like, hey, you want the change? And then fucking throw it across the floor and make the kids go chase it? I was like, I would never be on that level to A, do it or to B, chase it.
No, okay, let me tell you this much. I've never seen that. I would never do that. No. And the kid who does that to someone is absolutely the kid who ends up putting cats in the microwave, and he's the kid who ends up being a rapist and a murderer as an adult. That is a despicable move. Nope. You want this? Go get it. That is
anyone that did that's in jail right now, completely.
Cookie Monster hat. Yup.
Now, Kev, were you a habitual beggar, or was it just if you there was a time where like my mom forgot to pack my lunch, or I forgot to take a coin or something, and I needed something just to make ends meet for like a lunch, just to get lunch for the day, and you have to ask your buddy and hope he has change instead of you start asking like strangers, or were you just like you were straight up a beggar for a little bit?
No. It was like when I needed my fix, man. I was like, I gotta get that cookie, man. I need another dime to get that cookie, man. No, but it would be like if I had. I don't even remember the prices. They were so low back then. I remember being able to get like a deli sandwich for $2, a can of some sort of juice for like $1, and then fries for 90 cents. And that would all add up to like $4.75 or something like that. And I would be like 25 cents away from being able to get a cookie. And I was like, fuck, I really wanted a cookie, man. Like, anybody got a quarter? Anybody got a dime and a nickel? Like, let me get that, man. Let me hold that for a little bit. I'll pay you back, man. I swear. So it would only be when like I over ordered and I wanted a cookie, or if fresh ones came out, or I was extra hungry or whatever. And I knew, because like if you pay your money and you walk out of there with a dime to spare, there's nothing, you can't buy shit with that. But if I have 50 cents, I can make that dime into a cookie, man. Come on, we got to help each other up. We got to prop each other up. I was not a habitual beggar, but I was known to beg a time or two.
No, yeah, okay. So the beggars, we always call them the beggars, or like the seagulls. They're just coming at you looking for your breadcrumbs.
Isn't it funny that every school like does the same things? Like I wasn't even sure if that happened in other schools, or if you had the cookies, and every school kind of just did the same shit and had the same people.
And it was usually the punks. The punks were the ones who were usually, like you said, you weren't really a punk at that point, but I'm sure a couple of your friends might have been punk. It was like, it wasn't like it was kind of like the bad kids, but not like the problematic kids, but just like a kid, like I haven't said 3 words to you in fucking 8 years of knowing you, and you're asking me for my money just out of the blue, just like hawking me for it. So Kevin, I will say this, it now makes perfect sense that once you got older, you got a little bit of scratch, a little bit of money, you went and you bought the entire
bought all the cookies. Bought all the cookies. But you know what?
You.
You know what? If I walked out of there and there was a fucking bum asking me for $1 to buy a cookie, I would be like, "Here you go, man. There's none left, but here's $1." I would have bragged them off. You know what? I would have given him half of my cookie, not a full one, but I would have given him half of my cookie.
Well, shout out Cookie Carrasco.
This is one of my favorite lunchtime things to talk about too. Very few people have this. Did you guys ever have the bags of milk?
No.
The pouches.
No.
They were so absurd. I think the idea behind it was, everyone had the cartons of milk, the little mini carton. You peel it and you drink it from the cardboard. By the way, gone is the milk carton, I believe. The taste of milk when it's cold mixed with the cardboard is a little X factor that I don't know if kids experience anymore. That was a good thing. But it's like
static on an AM radio when you listen to the Mets game. It's not good, but it adds some character for it.
Perfect fucking reference. Let me just say, sidebar real quick. I got to give you props, Clem. You're the only podcast host when I'm the co-host. You say things and I react like a fan. I'm like, that is a good reference. Yes, exactly that. So I think the idea behind it was for storage. They had these pouches of milks that were kind of like, it was honestly like if you sealed a Ziploc bag filled with milk. It wasn't like a Capri Sun where it had like sturdiness to it. It was like a floppy bag. And I think you could just put bags on top of bags on top of bags in the carton, in the crates. So I think it was something to do with that. Money, of course. We had to have a fucking tutorial on how to open them. They told you to push down on one side to squeeze all the milk into the front and then do the Capri Sun. You put your thumb over it and you jam it in. Now, can you imagine like 7, 8, 9-year-olds trying to fucking do that? There was milk shooting goddamn everywhere. And we kind of being the scumbags, mostly my friends, but a little bit me as I got worse and worse, we would just take them and just fucking launch them in the air. Just like it was a water balloon to us. It was like a water balloon filled with milk. And we would just throw it against shit, have them exploding left and right. I don't think they thought it through when they were like, well, the animals are going to treat these as fucking weapons, man. But I think every time I've asked this, it's like this little pocket of Pennsylvania. It was when I lived outside of Philly. And then I think like Wisconsin had it. And like, that's it in the whole country. Like nobody else had the pouches of milk. It was like an experiment gone wrong that they were like, never mind, go back to the cartons. We're done here.
Well, I will say, so I remember around that same time in terms of, because our ages, I remember it linking up. we did have like plastic bottles because it's fucking children drinking milk and it's a container that has already been invented and works well, right?
Yeah.
So I will say I've never heard of the plastic bags, but that was a big recycling kickback. That was like when recycling was the highest fucking word in the game, basically. It was like they invented the 3 arrow logo like during
reduce,
that time.
Reuse, recycle. Yep. And now we know that is the biggest scam going, and that recycling is the biggest sham in the world. Like everybody knows that just all goes to the landfill, right? You fucking suckers.
You're the biggest anti-recycling person I know. You say, I mean, I've heard the story from a million people that sometimes the garbage man just come and they're like, you just took both of my things. Like, don't worry about it. We sort through when we get there. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, dude. Yeah, when we get to the landfill, we sort it out. Yeah, right. Fuck recycling. Fuck the environment.
That's why we got to believe, because we went from fucking Carrasco pitching well to bags of milk. Lena Dunham. I mean, that was the Lena Dunham.
That's what's funny. Yeah, bags of milk was in my life way before Jesus Nice was. So, but these are the best kind of podcasts. Talking about winning baseball and reminiscing about the good old days and snacks. This is amazing, Clem. This is like an episode of Mail Time, snacking off, and we got to believe like all in one. I'm in heaven right now.
I made this analogy the other day too. I said it was because Skittles brought back the lime Skittles, obviously, and I said lime Skittles were Jesse Spano, green apple Skittles were Tory, where it was like a subtle change, but it fucked up the whole dynamic, and you just could not get it out of your head that it was a Tory episode when it was a Tory episode.
Clem, this is why I wanted you for Barstool, New York. You're you got the sickest references, bro. The sickest references. You are a king of that shit.
The dumb. I had someone saying were you trying your shit out for Bill Simmons? Like, that's fucked up, man. That's not.
No. Well, I know what they mean, because that is like a reference from the Simmons era of blogging. Mm-hmm. But that was the golden age of blogging, and fuck anybody who's hating on that.
But yeah, shout out Cookie. So the bottom line is, Cookie Carrasco is at the point where we can have cookie discussions. Isn't that a beautiful thing, boys? We have good pitching once every 5 days, and then we can have a cookie discussion on the podcast. So let's this season might be like a 12-step program for me. I'm gonna have to make amends, so I want to publicly apologize to Cookie for right now. Like, as long as it keeps up, I'm sorry. I lost faith in you. I thought you were done. You're not. I have to apologize. I never really fully bailed on Mark Canha, but I just thought he was going to be like Jason Bay, and he's not. So I'm sorry to him. I think that's it. I think that's everybody I have to apologize to right now. Yep, that's good. Luis Castillo, his bobblehead has been broken. We'll never be apologizing to him. We've moved on. So,
anybody from the past, I'm not apologizing to. I was dead ass right on all of my Mets predictions for 40 straight years. These are the guys proving me wrong, and I'm so grateful they are.
This segment of the podcast is about the bullpen. Just kidding. We're just going to ignore it. It's like, there's certain problems in a man's life we just ignore. You hope they go away. Yep. The bullpen is that. I hope all the guys that suck are going to get moved up earlier in the game. All the guys that are good are going to get moved later. We get a guy from AAA that's good. We get a guy from another team that's good. And then somehow, some way, the bullpen all meshes. Edwin Diaz, which you want to give a frank fact checker. He's like, oh, here we go, Diaz. 2 strikeouts, no earned runs, and was just perfectly fine there. So bullpen, we're going to ignore because we have bigger things to worry about. We finally are facing a team that has pitching as good as ours. The fucking San Francisco Giants are coming to town. 4-game series, right?
Yep.
Oh boy,
4-game series.
This will be a real test.
4-game series. The Giants are the West Coast version of the Cardinals to me. Where it's like every game, I'm expecting it to be the same bullshit. I'm expecting voodoo to be brought out. The Cardinals had their voodoo with their World Series. The Giants had their voodoo where they won the World Series. So
it's an even year for the Giants. So we know that means they ratchet things up.
An even year. They won 107 games last year. So
yeah, you're right. It's like, but I feel like if it was an even year, last year and they had they wouldn't have got bounced by the Dodgers. So,
yeah.
I'm walking on Wednesday, so all I ask is if we do lose on Wednesday, just make it quick.
3-hour games. That's all.
That's all I'm asking.
Here's the thing. I was so impressed with the way we beat the Phillies because a lineup like that, and the Giants are a complete team, pitching and hitting. So I don't want to discount that. But the Giants are doing it kind of the way we are with like just remember last year it was like, how are they winning 100 games? They don't have any like superstars per se. They're just a well-constructed lineup. The Phillies lineup was one that like actually scares me. And I was like, fuck, these guys might mash us to death. And we handled it. I'm much more comfortable with this team now going against good pitching than I am going against a monster lineup, because I think we are similar to the Giants of last year, where you're going to scratch your head a little. I mean, yes, Lindor and Alonso, there's some monster names, but Marte and Nimmo and Canna and those guys are the type of dudes who are like, they get under your skin and they just don't stop and they're relentless. And so, yeah, like we're facing a team that has as good pitching as us, but I think that actually we're more suited to win those games. Like I keep saying put it this way. It's my crutch of the day. But I feel like over the course of 162, I don't know if we can reasonably expect the big drip and the Bassett Hounds and Peterson to continue to be like 0 ERA pitchers. Like I think eventually a Phillies lineup, like Philadelphia, will get to guys like that. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel like that's probably more likely than this lineup folding under good pitching. Like I think they're going to come and bring the heat with the offense no matter what. So I say bring on the good pitching, because I think that, we're smart hitters who can, if you work those guys and you get into their bullpen, that's the main thing. We're going to be seeing guys come out in the 5th inning with the way our lineup's constructed. So I say bring it on. I respect the Giants, and I'm like certainly aware what they're capable of, but I'm not afraid of something like that, because I think these guys can handle, good pitching just as well as they can mash shitty pitching.
I mean, I wish we had Nimmo and Canna for this series whenever they come back, but even still, we got like Starling Marte is just driving up pitch counts, having like 8 pitch at bats. Like,
can we get them? What's the protocol? Are they even potentially in the series? Or
I mean,
10 days minimum.
How many?
Well, 10 days minimum. I think if you're unvaxxed. Canna said he was boosted. His wife said he was boosted, so it's like 5. We can get him back at any time. You just need negative tests.
Canada needs 2 negatives in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, 10 days no matter what.
I want to like smuggle my stick in.
Yes. Give you a negative test from you and just say it's Canada's.
Yeah,
just get them on the field.
we kind of are like our like body types are like the same. He just looks like a regular ass dude. It's like, yeah, no, that's about the measurements of this man. That makes sense.
I feel like Antonio Brown could probably get a negative test. I mean, you got the back stars. I mean, Antonio Brown was some chance. See, Antonio Brown strikes me as someone who could be a Mets fan too. He's just a little crazy to be one of us. Yeah, I'm with you, Kev, though. I want to see this team challenged, because the Phillies series was like, all right, we beat the Phillies. But I want to see like a good pitching staff, a good lineup that we're facing, and being like, even if it's a split or if it's a one, God forbid, like a 1-3 like series loss, it's like, all right, well, that's the bar. I mean, and I'm also thanking God that we don't have Giants, Dodgers, Giants, because that's when we play
the Diamondbacks again right after this. At least we have.
That's amazing.
It's some sort of cushion, not the Dodgers right after. Bro. And to make it better, the Braves are playing the Dodgers when we're playing the Giants.
Thank God. That was I think I almost like
no, that was hell on earth. There was nothing you could ever compare to facing 2 100-win teams for 2 weeks straight.
That was like a trauma. I think I had like a trauma. I like blacked it out. Like I can't tell you. I don't remember where I was and watching those games, because I was just like, this is an experience that I need to like put in a box and lock away, because I'll never be the same if I let this like control my life. And that's why that Pirates, those 7 games with the Pirates, we needed to be 7-0, because we knew we were going to get butt fucked for like 12 straight games. Who the fuck made that schedule? That's fucking insane.
It was like playing the 18-0 Patriots for a month straight. Like there's no way out of it.
We should make what we should do if we can drum up the time for it, boys. We should make a mini documentary about like, remember what was it called, like 5 days in Flushing? We should
2 weeks in 13,
hell. 13 days in hell or whatever the fuck it was. That was the worst experience of my life. So maybe the schedule maker this year was like, all right, we owe them. Let's lob them the Diamondbacks after their first series, because that was like a murder.
We could pull all the podcast audio from last year, because we were like, throw your 4s up, like we're still doing good, like, and then we'd be like, here comes the gauntlet, just so everyone knows. In 2 weeks, here comes the gauntlet.
Dude, that was for real though. I don't know if I don't know how they make schedules. at all in general. It's a big ass puzzle that blows my mind. But like, I wonder if they take into account. You never know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. I don't think anybody expected the Giants to have 107 wins, but boy, that was a butt thumping.
There's like a husband and wife duo that are like the Rain Man of scheduling, and they have built out the schedule for like the past like 20 years.
Really?
It was like a whole thing. I don't know if they still did it because the Astros switched and that like fucked up the whole algorithm in their heads. But yeah, it was just like this couple that would just put together the schedule for like years to come. So
and they're like Major League Baseball employees, or they do just that? Like I
don't know.
Like are they schedule makers for minor league leagues and shit like that, or is it just baseball?
That's what they're known for. I don't know.
I'd love to get them on a podcast. That's fascinating.
Well, I know next year we play the whole league. Like, I think it's like divisional games go down to like 10 times a year. We play like we'll play like the Angels, the Guardians, like everybody, like NBA type scheduling.
Which
it's better for the league when you see all the teams.
I think it's I don't really care one way or the other, but I think it's good to limit the. I just hate when you have to play like 19 games against powerhouse team in your division. You're like, fuck.
It's just it's working towards restructuring though. Like they're already saying like, oh, like the Mets and Yankees might be in the same division eventually, and I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily like that.
Yeah,
there's a certain amount of history you can't fuck with. Like
right. But at the same time, I mean, we say that, but it's like we need to fuck with everything. We need to overhaul everything for the sport. I see people. I saw the Rocket posting that some. It was a very kind of strange survey, but it was like 55% of adults say they are an MLB fan, and that was second only to like 75% of adults say that they are a NFL fan. And then everything, the NBA was third, oddly enough, and then hockey. And so his point was, he said baseball is dead. And like, I don't doubt that there's a fuck ton of adults who love baseball. We are it. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
It's that when we die, it's going to fall off a fucking cliff.
Yeah.
Like the problem is getting the next generations involved. And like, I can already see it at a very, very young age, but like, I try to get Keegan to sit down and watch with me. And, in between pitches, he's doing other shit because he's just not captivated by it. And I'm sure there's like a whole legion of fans. So my point being, we love the history and we don't like to change things and all that, but we're going to have to. So maybe if overhauling the scheduling so that like you get to see Ohtani and Trout and you get to see, whoever you usually don't on the West Coast, East Coast, AL, NL, whatever, it might be smart for, to keep it alive.
Trying to build more rivalries because, sports are always better when people hate each other.
Yeah, that's a fact. That really is a fact.
Facing the Yankees, I guess we already faced the Yankees, but the Red Sox were facing as well, and then maybe the Yankees goes up a little bit now that they're division, and you're facing them for the crown, the AL, NL East, whatever the fuck it's going to be called, crown, instead of just a couple of Subway Series games along the way. Complete game changer. And by the way, for that gauntlet, the worst part about it was that we kept losing one-run fucking games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we had to like watch the whole game and we end up just losing. That was when the Frank was right movement hit a crescendo. That was the peak of it all. And it was because we just kept losing one-run games to fucking awesome teams. And I'm like, I cannot argue with someone who says the Mets are going to be terrible because they lost to an awesome team by one fucking run every night. But it is what it is. Do we want to take calls?
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to send me the link and I'll tweet it out? We're going to do some fan calls.
I have a meeting in like 7 minutes, so I'm not gonna be able to do those. So I'm gonna head out now. I just want to say happy birthday, Mom. I'm not gonna make your age public, but happy birthday, and I'm gonna head out.
Happy birthday, Mama Meek.
Gotta believe.
All right, we'll get to the calls. Do we have the link live for that, Kyle?
Pabs just sent it to us.
All right, so if you are listening right now, watching right now, and you want to join us, I will tweet it out, as will Gotta Believe and Clem. We are taking.
Meek left. I'm like, shit, am I supposed to be in that meeting? Nope, we're good.
While we wait for this to fill up, I want to just take my daily time to trash on the Yankees cross town. What a awful, pitiful weekend for you guys against the Orioles. Did they lose 2 out of 3?
Yep.
Yeah, lost 2 out of 3. Including, I believe they got shut out one night. Yeah, 5-0 yesterday when we won 5-0.
They lost a walk-off walk.
Walk-off walk from Chapman, which I have come to understand. I do believe most rational fans were complaining about a prior pitch in the at bat that I didn't see it, so I can't speak to that. And I know that a lot of people were talking about that, but there was definitely, I mean, homeboy, whoever was behind the plate, was it Trevino or the other dude? Like he did the old like catch and run off as if he got like the called third strike. And I appreciate trying to frame it and work that, but like that was the most ball a ball has ever been. That was high. It was outside. There was no fucking debating that. So Chapman, Boone, catcher, fans, anybody complaining about that call, you're fucking ridiculous. And if you are complaining about like the rest of the game, I saw Meek posted the umpire scorecard for that game, and I think it was like the bad favoring was in favor of the Yankees the whole game. Bad umpiring was in favor of the Yankees. So don't complain. You lost to the fucking Orioles because you didn't do shit. You're getting shut out by the Orioles. You're garbage. There's much more to complain about than one or two pitches from Chapman.
I will say the whole Chapman to the Cubs, Torres to the Yankees, Chapman back to the Yankees did not, when it took place, I was like, holy fuck, that was the biggest coup I've ever seen in my life.
Like, tip your cap to Cashman sort of shit. Yep.
Yeah. It's almost worked out as bad for like Chapman to be as good as he's been in like regular games. It's almost been, and Torres to at least majors, it's worked out bad as possible because he always ends the season smiling after a walk-off home run. Torres drives Yankees fans fucking bananas. I think now that El Gary's gone, he has to be like the one like guy that drives him the most crazy. I can't believe it.
I remember talking to Hubs when Gleyber first came up. Remember when everybody was like, he's like our next MVP. And when he was like 20 or 21. And I remember saying to Hubs, I was like, I'm not like totally sold on that guy. And I because Hubs is, at that age point, like I was talking earlier, where you watch every game and you know absolutely everything. I wasn't going to challenge him knowing that I don't watch nearly as much as he watched at that point. But I was like, I'm just not fully sold on that. And he was like, how could you not be? He's 21. Look at what he's doing. Like, of course, he's a lock. And then it's not quite panning out the way they thought they would. And IKF, I don't even know his real fucking name. I mean, that should be done, right? Like that's not the answer. They are in such a mess. I fucking love it. It's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to be like, we are bad because we're poorly constructed and it's like a square and a round hole and all that shit. It's fun to be winning and watch the Crosstown boys flounder. It's just that extra little
burning. The Bronx is burning yet again. The tweets come up every single day and we just keep winning. So keep fucking going, Mets. Please, God. Please.
All right. First up, we got Lazy Mary.
Lazy Mary
is, but
let's go.
What's up, guys?
How we doing?
I didn't realize that we were straight up taking calls. I didn't see that I'm the only person here. I thought I was I thought I was just streaming this. I'm at work. But I guess just to entertain this, I guess I'll ask a question. I kind of had this conversation with my brothers yesterday, but do you kind of feel like that the Diamondbacks have this plan to shop Mark Melancon at the deadline? And that's why they signed him to a 1-year deal. And if that's possible, who do we go get?
Yeah.
Like, who do we shop to get him?
Yeah, no, that it is funny when you have a bad team with a good closer. To me, that is the ultimate, like, let's trade this guy. I remember screaming and yelling about Diaz when it was like, why are we getting at that point, a lights out closer when we are like a garbage team? We have like so much work to do because it's like you can't even get to him. So, Melancon is one of those guys who's been around the block, right? He's been on like 50 different teams. When he's good, he's real good. In his prime, he was like lights out. And at this point, I think I would take a flyer on anybody. I saw somebody tweeted a list to me of all the available, I guess, free agent, but more like unsigned pitchers. And it was like Andrew Miller, and I think Darren O'Day was still on the list. Yusumiro Petit is still out there. That's a guy I remember when I used to do fantasy baseball way back in the day. I remember him being on there. And, these guys are 37, 38. I think Darren O'Day is 39. Some really, washed up over the hill old names. But, in the game of relief pitching, sometimes you get those guys out there who are crafty for an inning or two. And so even though Melancon's, up there, he's still dealing. That's a guy I would have no problem going to get. Yeah, 2 years, $14 million was his deal, which is like what will be annoying will be if we take on money like that and we didn't sign Loop for like similar type money. That'll kind of eat at me. But
you can't be annoyed at finances, Kev.
No, it's. I would be annoyed that we were picking up. We were dealing. We made that decision with Loop out of finances. So I would be annoyed that that's what we did. I don't care about the finances. I care about the philosophy behind it. But yeah, I'll give it a whirl. Who would you give up for a guy like that, Clem?
Well, again, before tweet, the Aaron Loop trade, then the Steven Matz tweet came out, and everything changed. We have Aaron Loop. His name is Chasten Shreve, right? we have our fucking Aaron Loop. Melancon's it's funny, Lazy Mary. So I actually, when we were at the game the other day, and I was watching this lineup, and I actually thought to myself, what the fuck was the GM thinking when he just constructed this team? I guess it's just like rebuild and just tear it down and get some number 1 draft picks, and then just hopefully some guys, appear. The Melancon thing makes sense. Who is it? They have Kennedy. They have Oliver Perez. Like, it's just a very weird, odd bullpen. I kind of like to go with a guy. You're not going to get those. A lot of times those like middle fireballers. The Yankees had one of them a few years ago. Was it Kepik or Conley or whatever? I like those guys that are like the 7th, 8th inning guys that throw gas. I don't want a closer. Those guys just do not like a Melanson. I don't know if I'd want a Melanson. I want someone that's more of a fireballing younger guy. It would cost you more, but I'd feel more. I feel like that's the way baseball is now. Is those are the guys that get the bigs outs in October, where these guys who closed, 10 years ago, they're washed by that point. They're not getting the swings and misses. So I'm not a Melanson.
This was the name of like the unsigned guys: Andrew Miller, Trevor Rosenthal, Yusumiro Petit, Tommy Hunter, Evan Marshall, Jesse Hahn, Richard Rodriguez, Jake Junis, Darren O'Day at 39 and a half years old. Trevor Cahill, I thought there was a couple more on here that, but I know what you're saying, but there's also something about like, if you get the right guy throwing junk, like has Andrew Miller,
I literally looked him up.
What's up?
I looked him up right before you said Andrew Miller. I was like, what's Andrew Miller up to?
Yeah.
He talk about somebody who just like overplayed their hand. Because when he was with the Indians, it was like that guy changed the relief pitcher game because he was coming in for 3 straight innings.
Yes.
He's 36. He's not on any.
But that's what I mean. Like, I wonder if it all depends on the player. And did Andrew Miller go from this like 4-inning, like pseudo starter? He would just pitch like the second half of a game. Has he, what if he kind of adapts and is like, all right, now I'm going to like change my style to like, I'm just saying as a guy who once had
steroids, give him steroids or HGH.
yeah. Like whatever it may be, whether it's a philosophy, a physical, or a fucking cheating approach, why not try, because you did have the goods at one point. I would at least take a chance and then, fucking boot them out if they're not,
He retired. I just looked it up. He just retired.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
This is always my solution, and it's such bullshit. It's not a solution anymore because the stupid goddamn rules. Give me a lefty and a righty that throws like 3/4 to like side, and they murder the lefties and righties in like the 7th. And because we had that with Dennis, you have like a Dennis Cook or whatever, Billingsley back in the day, Jeff
Bradford, submarine.
Chad Bradford. That's what I meant, Chad Bradford. Guys like that were always money in my mind, and having that
got to be some.
But now you could. I usually get crushed by lefties. They can just pinch at a lefty, and you can't take them out because it's a 3-batter minimum. So I think those guys are kind of fucked. But I still like give me those guys for like a big out. I am 100% subscribed. You should always have a lefty and a righty that throw fucking just like looping sidearm bullshit and punish that side of the plate. By the way, Kev, Yusumiro Petit. Little fun fact? Who he was traded for? He was the Met. He was a Met. Do you remember? He was in the Met system. In the Met, this is our trivia for the day. So we're doing a little trivia right now. Traded with Grant Somas and Mike Jacobs.
Piazza? No, Carlos Delgado. Yeah. I do remember that. I remember Mike Jacobs being like a Like, he was a good player. Like, I remember I thought he was going to be something. He had that big, long swing, like the whole fucking thing. That was Carlos Delgado. Top 5, maybe most overrated player in sports history. Underrated, sorry. Like, not even to get – he's off the ballot for the Hall of Fame. He's not even in consideration because he got so little votes. He was awesome. Almost had a triple crown back when, like, triple crowns were, like, never going to happen again. It felt like I think he had a 4 home run game. He mashed balls to the moon. He was so important to that Mets team. I think he's one of the best players the Mets have ever had, and he just goes totally under the radar. What a trade, though. Wow.
I don't know if Delgado, if it was I don't think it was a steroids thing with him, but like I've never heard any accusations with him, and the fact he put up those numbers without the accusations, like, ballot already, it's just bananas to me. It's craziness. That one year I think we've talked where he had 42 home runs, 145 RBIs, and he finished second in and he led the league in OPS, and he finished second in MVP. Because it was fake. A-Rod won the MVP. It was with Texas that year. It was, and again, you're talking about steroid accusations and shit like that. Delgado, I mean, 473 home runs off the ballot, just like that.
That's what I mean.
27 short of 5.
If he stuck around a couple more seasons and had like a 12 home run year and a 15 home run year, he hits fucking 500, and then it changes everything for some reason. Like, drives me nuts. It's almost that he was in the steroid era, but wasn't, like, because like Bonds was doing what he was doing and Sosa was doing what he was doing. It never got, but he was always there. It's like, I guess people are going to think about Frank Thomas and Griffey and McGuire and Sosa and Bonds, and they just kind of forget about a guy like Delgado, who was unbelievable.
Him and Jeff Kent are in the same boat with that. Jeff Kent's like the greatest hitting second baseman, but it's like, well, he might have. It's like, okay, well, you can't prove it. So what are we doing here?
Right.
Connor, you're up.
Connor?
Hey.
What's up,
guys? Hey, so I wanted to ask, it seems like every year when the deadline comes around, Josh Hader's name is always linked to us. Every year. And it's always, in my opinion, smoke and mirrors. But a guy like Hader, he's going to cost pretty penny, whether it's contract year or regardless. And been talking with my buddies, and obviously Alvarez and Beatty, no-go, untouchables. But looking at our top 10, top 30 list, starting to get into like Mauricio, Vientos, like what prospects are your untouchables that after Alvarez and Beatty that you won't even consider giving up? And where does it start to be like, maybe Mauricio can get us Hader, things like that?
I'm always so skeptical with just closers and relievers. I mean, like, you get Hader, though, you're just like erasing an inning, basically, right? You're kind of doing.
Is he still like as fucking lights out as he always has been?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, I'm not a Joe DeMayo or a Michael Mayer, these Mets fans who know everything about all the prospects. I'm not going to pretend to. I know the Tank and Beatty are the future. I'm always about getting talent now. I think more often than not, we see Mets prospects not pan out, like way more often, So I you can get me Hader right now in a year where our problem is the bullpen, and if everything else clicks, we are a contender just like anybody else is. I'm not going to get too worried about giving up a prospect. I just, it's not in my DNA to start to care that much about some of these guys who, at their peak, if you had some, a pitching prospect, let's say, or in general, you have a position player too. If their peak is an impact like Josh Hader can make, then like that would be considered a good prospect panning out, right? Josh Hader has a very big impact on the game in a year where you're contending. If that's going to be the peak, like, then fucking just do it now. Make it happen right now. Because that's not, it's no slouch to be like, oh, well, we lost a prospect, but all we got was an 8th inning man to get to Diaz. That's huge.
The only prospect that is untouchable for me, even more so than Alvarez or Beatty, Mauricio. Khalil Lee. Guy is going to be a Gold Glove, superstar, 30 home runs. We cannot trade Khalil Lee no matter what. I've now put it in the world, so that's definitely what's going to happen. He'll be involved in the trade. I have no doubt in my mind. But it does feel like the Mets – I hate when we have a top-heavy system because it's like every single guy, you're like, I don't want to get rid of him. I don't want to get rid of him. And we definitely have one.
But you got to remember, Clem, and maybe not. Maybe you do your own research and you know the numbers and shit. Like, I end up falling in love and calling guys untouchable because of hype and because of media. And I think that's where baseball, Major League Baseball becomes like a CIA, like psyop, where they like plant seeds to make you think, oh, the prospect's coming. We're going to be great. Buy your tickets. And it's like, this guy's probably going to be like a middle of the road guy because they all fucking are, except for, an Alonso comes along or whatever. And it's like,
you got to look at Rosario. He was the number one prospect in baseball for 2 straight years. And we got rid of him down the road. And yeah, we got Lindor for him, but it's like you don't look at Rosario and then look at Fernando Tatis Jr. and go, yeah, those guys are comparable. Like,
right.
It's never going to be the case. So unless you have something that's a slam dunk like Trout or Fernando Tatis Jr., like those are the guys you really need to have.
How he was the next Mike Trout. He was can't miss, and like look what happened. And maybe he'll be good down the road, but the idea that everything is going to click just doesn't happen. Yep. Let me hear from Senzo here real quick, and then I got to bounce.
No, Senzo bounced too.
Oh, okay. He was all, let me spit. I was like, you better bring the heat then. Let me hear it. We got one more call or no?
No, we'll wrap it up here. Oh, you got another one?
It's up to you guys. We got 3 more on the line, but we can pick one. Greg C's ready to roll. You already picked the camera.
Ready to roll.
What's up, guys? So back to the bullpen. You guys were talking about the bullpen. I think Drew Smith is the key to this bullpen. He's been lights out.
That is the one guy who I am like not shitting my pants along with Diaz, and
he's the wild card.
If you can if you can just get one guy out of that bunch to settle in and become as much of a sure thing as relievers are, it would make such a difference to me. Because when you have just a closer, it feels like you have nothing. When it's like we just got to get to Smith and then we get to Diaz, like it changes the whole complexion. I think if you have 2 reliable arms versus just the one,
definitely.
But I feel like that can go both ways like that, right?
I mean, you can get one more arm too.
I think Drew Smith was on my guy watch list last year. I have to go back into the archives and look it up, but I did kind of like fall in love with him for a minute when he was up. He's kind of the guy I think of when I think we might be flipping some of the guys from the 6th and the 7th to the 7th to the 8th, and then my guy Lugo I think might be doing a little more mop up or hitting the IL. I heard Ronnie talking about him yesterday, and they're like, Ronnie, when do you get concerned? And he's like, I don't get concerned if you're giving up runs, but if your velocity's down or you're just not doing it, that's really concerned. So
I to wrap up on it, I think that also what I'm hoping is the early going of the bullpen woes is also we're going to hammer out the details a little bit. Like, I think right now we were hoping that Lugo was going to be like the Lugo of a couple years ago. And so we put him out there in a couple big spots and he fucking sucks. Now we know not to do that anymore. Hopefully we now know that Joely Rodriguez should never see another game ever. Hopefully we know that Fawn Sholey Reed is not an option. And then we can at least start to find the guys who we can somewhat rely upon. Because I think a couple of those games we maybe wouldn't have lost if we went to Drew Smith right away. Or if we didn't go to Fawn Sholey or whatever. So hopefully, I think Buck is smart enough to be like, okay, that didn't fucking work. You're off the list now. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I hope you're right. I hope Drew Smith can be like a linchpin to the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
Kyle,
thanks, fellas.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for asking questions. Kyle, can you share the man we have to believe in right here? This is the face of the man you have to believe in. I'm sharing my screen. Just remember, the guy coaching our bullpen, Craig Bjornson. He's gonna eat. He's like, I'm gonna eat whoever fucking gives up the next run, and he's gonna get everyone straightened out here. He's a fucking psycho. So I forgot that I kept thinking he's like the bullpen catcher coach because he just seems too good to be true as the bullpen coach. That is the guy in charge of the bullpen. Everything's gonna be all right.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.